Good evening, everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. Let's please stand for our allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do roll call. Mayor Ernie Valenzuela.
Joe Benda, Counselor.
Michael Burncourt.
Janine Hagel.
Christian.
Alrighty. Approve or amend the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion approved. Request approved minutes from May 14, 2025 City Council work session.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Consent agenda. Approve resolution number 25-08, CUP request for 308 First Avenue with conditions. Approve amendments to ordinance 164, golf carts, ATVs ordinance. Approve City of Goodyear application for subdivision for sale of property to school.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Old business? None? Okay. New business. We have Heather Evenson, parking violation. So
You'd go up to the microphone.
and we'll give you 5 minutes.
My name is Heather Evenson, and we got a parking violation back in March. Right here it is, I'm sure, I don't know if everybody's seen it. We saw him come take the pictures on the 21st. I just wonder why nobody could even stop and just talk to us. On the 26th was when we got the letter. On May 10th, that was a Saturday, a cop rang our doorbell at 7:40, saying that the Suburban had not been moved. The Suburban was moved on April 15th, 25th, 29th, 30th, May 2nd, 6th, 8th, 12th, 13th, 16th. And so who's ever watching us isn't doing their job very good. No, it's not our vehicle that we drive every day. We've had it in our yard for over 4 years. I know that this picture here was still from winter. Yes, we do park our vehicles in our lawn in the winter. And we hadn't moved them, and it still snowed 2 more times after we got this letter. I have right here 18 pictures, and I ran out of ink and I went to Walmart, of other people in our town who are on their lawns, who have been there since we've got this. I would call who's ever calling the cops, and whoever sent and is complaining of our yard. I'm wondering why these other 18 people didn't get letters, and there's a few more on my camera roll. I would be calling it bullying and harassment.
Well, we can only act on what people complain about. You know, if there's somebody else that has,
So because my name isn't Tofford, or because my name isn't Tooman, or because my name isn't Reed, that somebody's not gonna complain about me.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
I have many, many pictures of Travis in and out of his yard, not with just his work car, not with just the girls' car, but with his truck also. During the week, when the city is working, last summer, we also had, Jason come up to our house and knock and was talking with our teenage boys about us pouring cement and needing a permit. We weren't pouring cement, nor did we need a permit, and he was trying to get information out of them. Very frustrated with the city, very frustrated, as he should be. Like I said, it's bullying and harassment, and it's not just, if this right here says, right here, if this is a law, it shouldn't matter if it's my car or anybody else's car. It shouldn't matter if it's a complaint.
Well, that's the way the thing
That's-
operates, so
Okay,
people
so
it
right
doesn't
here-
get taken care of unless somebody complains about it.
Okay, so right here it says, parked outside in the front. I can park on Fifth Avenue because that's my side lot. That's not my front yard.
So I think, I understand you're upset and frustrated, I hear you. I think what Joe's trying to say is, so the police don't drive around and take pictures?
No, they
Okay,
don't. It
they
was
don't.
the city.
No.
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay,
And-
wait, can I finish?
Yep,
So I think how these work, and correct me if I'm wrong, somebody has to call and complain.
right, and,
So, and it's somebody who lives in the city,
right,
right, calls and
Yep.
says, now, they're picking on you, they're not
No.
picking on so-and-so, they're not picking on so-and-so, right? So they call and complain, so
Yeah.
the 18 pictures that you have,
Yeah.
right, and I know exactly one of the ones you're talking about.
right.
Nobody's calling and complaining.
Why do we feel then that we are the only ones? Like I said, somebody is obviously nitpicking. And you
Okay,
can't
who
say
is
that,
somebody?
I don't know. That's a good question. Why are all these other people not getting letters?
Because they don't drive around.
Because nobody filed a complaint.
Nobody
on
filed
it.
a complaint.
Okay, so I can file a complaint on all these?
Absolutely,
You bet.
100%.
Okay. And so I guess I'm not, the cop also said, just so you guys are aware, that the vehicle was chalked by his partner and the vehicle was moved. Just so you are aware. Huh?
Say that again.
The cop said that when he came to our house on the 10th,
Okay.
that the vehicle was chalked by his partner. So you know they'll chalk the
Oh, I'm
tires.
sorry, okay.
No,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I was having trouble following you. Okay,
Yeah.
chopped, I see what you mean.
That it was chalked and he could tell that the vehicle had been moved.
Mhm. I mean, it's unfortunate that somebody called on you, but, you know, you also, as a citizen in the community, have the right to call on everybody else or make complaints, you know.
But,
I think the big thing here is you're not supposed to park vehicles in your yard.
right,
But I think to her point, she's saying she's not the only one who does this.
No, right, and I get that,
That's true.
Whoever it was, I don't know. No, I get that, I see it all the time,
Yeah, I do too.
but somebody filed a complaint,
okay,
we followed up with that complaint,
okay,
okay? Now you have every right to send 18 letters to the
Right.
administrator and city clerk saying, these 18 people are parking in front of their house, and they will get sent letters just like you did, okay? So whoever did the complaining, I have no idea who it is, I'm not privy to that apparently. But,
got a pretty good idea, but it doesn't matter.
you know, you can park on the street, you can park anywhere you want other than in your yard. So off-street parking, you know, you can park on the street. However, you also have to be, you know, cognizant of obstructing traffic from people turning, whatever, all that other stuff, so.
When we parked on Fifth Avenue in front of Joe's house, you know what, we've never seen so many cars stop at that stop sign because they can't go right around the corner because they can't see.
Yeah.
We've also had, a kid, and there again, I'll probably make we've had a kid on Fifth Avenue who's been riding a moped up and down the street.
Yeah, not that we just spoke about that.
And-
That's
and-
a-
We,
And you're getting, not
you
that,
can't have-
I worry more about the two cul-de-sacs behind us, where we have first responders and firefighters that come down like a bat, and that's just what they're doing because they're getting the call that somebody's gonna get hit. We have kids who are under 18 who are driving side by sides without helmets. You know, I could go on and on. Everybody sees, people think they see everything on the corner. We see everything, unfortunately. Not that we want to, but we do there on the corner, just the way our house is sitting. So
nobody, I agree with you, nobody stops at those 2 stops, 3 stop signs.
Right.
Some of them slow down, but they all roll through. About 1 out of every 15 vehicles, I would say, actually stops.
Yeah.
The rest just roll through, and
Even
That's
when
a-
we had our
that's a-
house, that's the way it was.
well, it's an enforcement deal, you have to catch them to do it, but it's not good. I don't like it because a little kid can come down that road, that hill with a bicycle, and there's pine trees on your neighbor across the street, blocks their view, so, I mean, they come up there and they don't have any intention of stopping, that little kid's gonna get snuffed.
Well, not just there, but up in the new edition too. I had one time 5 girls come out and the last girl yelled at everybody. Nobody was paying attention.
Yeah.
By, Lexwell's house there.
It's a problem we have in Goodhue, people respecting stop signs. And we've passed out a few tickets, but, it's hard to get everybody.
So I think so we don't get so far off the topic here
Yep.
for you, is that, I think one of the things we can do is let law enforcement know to keep an eye on those specific areas. And we can't speak on what other citations that are being given out to other
No,
people
I
for
know.
these
Yeah.
certain things. We appreciate you coming in. Is there anything else that you would like to add pertaining to your case? All right. Thank you, I appreciate it. Next, we have Jeremy and Melissa Tomford, outdoor storage ordinance violation.
I don't understand any of this because I have nothing here that is in this ordinance that's highlighted. This is my business, that's where I keep my equipment. And it says I'm parking my commercial vehicles there. I don't understand any of this.
It isn't by your house, it's down by your shop.
The pictures are of the shop and it is all of our equipment.
It's my dump truck, a pickup, a backhoe, and a grader. My equipment is parked at my shop.
Yeah, I've seen it parked there.
But these are things that haven't moved in how long?
I use them all the time.
All the time.
So the plows and the grader and all that?
Well, the grader hasn't moved in a while, but
It has moved, but the dump truck and the truck can move almost daily.
and so can the grader, the backhoe. I don't understand why I'm even getting this letter.
Well, just like we spoke, it's someone calls in and complains about a nuisance.
The ordinance that you have put against us is not
None of this is.
what you're showing us, because the ordinance is talking about storage of materials, goods, and products. There is not storage of goods, materials, and products there. It is the equipment that we use for our business.
And it,
It's right in the letter, commercial vehicle.
and I see exactly where they're coming from with this is, you have a snowplow that you have at your house. Well, it doesn't always snow, it doesn't always move, but it's equipment. Well, it's same thing with their snowplows is it may not move. It may move, but it may not move. The dump truck, everything there moves, and that's where I was stuck on this, that this is equipment, this isn't goods, this isn't material, this isn't none of that. So it's kind of shocking to see that this one actually came through after talking with the city. They said, well, we verified this and it was in fact a violation and we sent it out. And I don't see how that was, unless you guys can explain to me how that was a violation.
I don't foresee a violation in his business down there. There's equipment you use every day or every other day. I mean, it's in his lot.
Yeah. It's
So
the same
I
as,
don't,
it's the same as Egg Partners.
Right.
yeah,
All their stuff that's stored at their lot. I mean, there was, what did it say, 15 feet from the street, you could have a fence. Well, if you put 15 feet from the street to put a
You'd never
fence,
move anything in and out of
Not on that
wouldn't
property, it would be against
Be on
the
the,
Wouldn't do
rules.
anything.
on the road then.
so,
Well, you got property line, driveway, fence, alley, there's not enough room to put a fence anywhere.
yeah. No,
And that's been a business for many years, and it's
Yes.
never needed a fence.
I guess I didn't realize that. I thought maybe it was up at your house or something. I didn't realize it was at your business. I don't know who,
Because if this is the way it's supposed to be for our business, then we
Oh,
need to
every
make a
business in
complaint
town
against
is gonna
Pioneer
get the
because
same.
they've got all of their stuff. There
Egg
should be
partners.
fences around Egg
Yeah.
Partners next to, because it's across from a dwelling, the residents,
Fab Tech,
all of those places.
pick a business that has commercial vehicles.
Well, this is a perfect example why we have this set up the way we do. You get a complaint, able to come in, voice your opinion. We appreciate it, and we'll continue to, to discuss it. And
I would like to make a note about the complaint, this process. This letter purposely got to us so that that it came to us prior, like, it says, your violation is not corrected by May 27th, which was yesterday. So
Before
this
the
was-
opportunity to go to a council.
This didn't, unless we came in and complained, we would not have been able to just physically come to a council meeting and voice our opinion, because we would have already been getting our violation ordinance. So this was put out in between two council meetings, so we can't even voice our opinion. And that is not appropriate and not in good manner for the city.
You can't tell me you don't know the dates of the council meeting. You could have
But
waited 3 days
this-
and said it's
what
the
I'm
council
saying is
meeting,
if
and
we-
make it
But
clear.
as I explained to you, you came in by you coming in and.
But I'm saying,
That's not the point.
Please let me finish. I explained to you when you came in, by you coming in and asking to be on the agenda, it stopped the process.
correct, but for other individuals that would have been in our same boat, they may not have realized that by just coming in and saying, we need to get put on the agenda, thinking that they should come to a city council meeting and voice their opinion at that point in time, they are past that time frame.
We've had several people do that. You're not the only one. We've
So-
had several people that have asked to be on the agenda and the
Yes.
process stopped.
That's not what I'm saying, I'm
so
saying,
I think one way to, in these letters that we're sending out, that in the event such a violation is not corrected by such and such date, I think it needs, or may need to be reworded to, you need to make,
when you put on the agenda.
you need to have, I'm trying to think of the words right now, like, stop in the office before this date to have a conversation. Because in that way, it will stop the process, or if they don't come in, well, then that's on them. Whereas, if the violation is not corrected, people may not know that they need to come down here and correct it. So maybe if we put in there, stop by the city hall by May 27th to address the concern type deal.
That change can be made. The letters that are sent out were approved by council last year, and that, when the ordinance happened, in June. It can change.
Right, and I think there's, case by case basis where, I understand what the Tomfords are saying, that May 27th falls one day before a meeting. Well, that would just so happen to be on this one, whereas the next one may not, it may fall after the meeting. So I think we just need to maybe reword it to where they come in before, because what is it 30 days?
14 for the first,
It's
yeah.
14
Oh, yeah,
days.
14.
Yeah.
So, put in there, you have 14 days from the date of this letter to come down to City Hall to address your concerns or to be put on the city agenda
There
type
you
thing.
go.
Yeah, because it has to come before us no matter what. It's not something, even if Lisa heard their point here, it still has to come to before us. So yeah, that's valid.
The date, when I look back at, cause when you had asked about the date, and you had asked about the date, when I look back in the minutes, it was suggested by the council at the time to be 30 days, and you stated that's too long. So everything, believe me, when letters go out, I am not purposely back behind, because she sends them out when she gets them. The complaint comes in, and every one of them is handled the exact same way.
That's fine, but you could have literally waited 3 days, so it would have fallen on the 30th instead of the 27th. So a person had the opportunity to come to the meeting. Looking at this letter, it doesn't look that way.
Well, we'll make that change. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, that's very helpful.
It is, I agree with you, and I'm a strong believer in a commercial property has to have space to store their equipment. I mean, there's just, there's stuff you use every day, there's stuff you might use once a week, two times a month, whatever. But yeah, snowplow, for instance, it could be next fall.
I own a lot more equipment I can store there.
Yeah, it's,
So whoever's complaining, I'm giving them reason to complain.
well, I hope it doesn't get to that, but I understand what you guys are saying, and I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's, we want to keep everybody happy, and we don't want to piss people off. It's just, we like to work with people, and I hope that we present ourselves as you can come and talk to us, and we will try to work with you,
Still not sure which ordinance I'm violating, but
Like I said, I don't think there is, because it falls under the screening, and it's, the items that are in the pictures here are, like I said, it's not.
You don't
product,
have
it's
a
not
pile
good.
of crushed rock sitting there or anything like that?
No.
Well, if it was crushed rock, that would, to me, that would fall under materials and goods and stuff like that, which a snowplow,
That's,
a truck,
it's
and
part of
some
the business
equipment
equipment.
does not, in my opinion,
might
does
be
not fall
used,
under.
it might not be.
That, so-
here.
I
I
don't
do have a
believe,
pile of crushed rock there. It's usually not there very long.
right.
Because I needed a little bit here and a little bit there, so I dumped it there so I could carry a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm speaking for my part, but I think that one was a mistake on our part.
I agree.
Me too.
Anything else? All right, thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
All right, thank you all.
Are we done?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Unless you want to stay?
So you can hang out.
Well, I've been here before.
Thank you, guys. All right, so we'll move on to, Second Street Public License Renewal and License Request. And we do not have the representative here for that.
Well, I think she sent everything, right?
Yeah, but there are,
So one question I have is, so the liquor fees, why is it crossed out and then written in?
Okay, wait, let's,
which one are you looking at, Michael? Oh,
So I'm looking at like the very front page right here.
Yeah.
So it's crossed out like,
It was zeros,
yeah, it was zeros and then, so,
because when we paid last year,
this is for liquor license, so.
when it was submitted to the state,
It was already paid by,
it was written on both their 1 month and their full year one. So
Yes, they had dollars.
They had prepaid ahead and did it, so they said go ahead and handwrite in the
okay.
actual amounts that they needed to pay for the next year.
Yeah, so it looks like they wanna do something down at J Hill. Everybody knows where that is, right on the corner. Red Aspen, that's, a new business and some jewelry, so. Did somebody tell Sarah to come, or? I don't think thought she needed to be here.
So,
Two separate things, correct? One is the renewal.
What's their actual license?
Yes, this is their liquor license
Oh.
renewal.
Yeah,
This
this-
Okay.
is-
That'll need to be
Okay.
approved to go through, so I can send their information and get signed by the Buffalo Gambling Board.
that's their normal yearly.
Do we know if there has been any violations in the last year?
Signed by the county and then by the sheriff on the bus, I believe.
And that's what they do, and that's,
So we would have found all that information. So we sent it to them before. bringing-
They already signed it.
Yeah, I guess it does say that.
I'll make a motion to accept the Second Street Pub, alcohol gambling enforcement liquor license.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
so then the second one,
So then this is for the, then the second one will be the specialty permit.
special,
So I think this is the one where she probably should have been here for this.
well, if you had questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty cut and dry.
She did provide a lot of information.
Yeah.
And she did state that she would submit the certificate of insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're gonna sell some wine, I guess, from Vino in the Valley at the farmer's market, which that's good.
Provide liquor and wine.
They're
Yeah,
sell-
like sample, like in the little tiny cups.
Yeah, it's just, it's not selling though, it's just
No.
sampling.
No,
Okay, I thought you said
Well, here
selling.
it says,
no.
sell locally made wines and spirits during market hours for the farmer's market.
But I think they're bottles, like bottles, not opened.
Yeah, but her license from the Second Street Pub travels with her?
No.
I don't
So a
think
liquor license is only good for an establishment.
Right.
If you are, so let's say you want to have an event at J Hill, that's why she needs to have a separate liquor license for that establishment then. So you need to have a liquor license for each time you move. So that's why she needs to have one for the farmer's market series, because that location needs one. And then she needs a liquor license then for the J Hill location. So they have what's called like an annual, which is for a brick and mortar establishment, and then you can do one daily, weekly, weekend as well. And so that's what this farmer's market one, I'm assuming she would do, send in like a daily one or go for the
Well, but
summer's run.
this one for J Hill is already June 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Correct, and so that's,
she's not gonna be able to get anything done in time for that one.
no, the state work is pretty quick on that stuff. As long as if we approve it today, she'll more than likely be able to get one next week.
she has to pay a fee then?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
So how do we determine the fee?
This fees are through the state, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
The city wouldn't have anything to do with that?
Well, the city is supposed to,
We get
part
it,
of our,
the state sets it.
Correct.
yeah, we have.
We get a
on our,
portion.
fee schedule, there's that stuff on there for off sale, on sale, all that.
I don't know about
Falls under
temporaries,
that, but-
because they set it, it may be based on the event, I'm not certain.
So she'll have to bring in proof then, prior to this event, if she was able to get a separate liquor license to the city?
No, this would be the proof, approved tonight, and she would need to pay the,
She would send in,
and then
Yeah.
we would send in Lori would, or she would send it to the state. And they would
She has
send
to
it
pay the state a fee then?
yes.
Okay.
back. Is it temporary? Because the yearly one is paid to us.
So-
Temporary is paid to the state.
So the
They
next,
are, but they're not selling anything for the taste testing part of it. That's something separate.
so the next page that you guys might not have looked at, is covers the, whatever, the specialty thing. And it says, special provisions, sports conventions, or cultural facilities, community festivals, the governing body of a municipality may authorize a holder of a retail on sale intoxicating liquor license issued by the municipality or by the adjacent municipality to disperse intoxicating liquor at any convention, banquet, conference meeting, or social affair conducted on the premises of a sports, convention, cultural facility owned by the municipality or instrumentally thereof having independent policy-making and appropriate authority located within the municipality. So she's allowed to do this. My only concern is the one is on city property.
And I think that's where this fits.
If it's on municipality, that needs it to be purple off.
That's what I believe. So city or municipality may authorize the holder of a liquor license.
So it sounds like she did her homework, so.
I don't know if it's on city property. I think she just wants parking spaces blocked off. I think they're gonna have it.
Well, it says it can be.
No, the second one is at, the
Oh, the
farmer's
farmer's
market,
market.
which is at the Lions Building, which is
City property.
owned by the city. So,
Says liquor off the premise, so, at a community festival. So, if we approve it, it's for wherever they wanna do it.
I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'll make a motion to approve the, specialty liquor license request for Second Street Pub for the event Whiskey and Wine Summer Kickoff on Thursday, June 5th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., as well as the Summer Farmers Market Series weekly permit request every Wednesday evening from July to September or end of farmers market.
Geez, that was a lot. I second that.
Amen.
Did we get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Alrighty, request for donations to farmer's market for $250.
I'll make a motion to, give $250 to the farmers market for the 2025 season.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, administrators report.
I don't think there was much on there. You guys got the copy of it. I don't think it's anything earth-shattering.
I hate to harp on this, but, I don't know why the whole Lions thing is stalled. I mean, it's been months.
I know.
So I guess we either ask to meet with them again.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to
I called
do.
them last week, and that was the second time.
Should we ask to meet with them again?
Go ahead, Mike.
You can go ahead.
So who are you contacting there?
And
Nardinger?
Yeah, so that's who we're supposed to.
He's the secretary.
Okay. And I feel like I ask this question every time we meet, and I really feel like a broken record. So we're waiting to talk about what again?
They haven't signed the amended lease that they asked for.
Okay, that's what I thought.
and agreed to. They haven't signed it in return.
That's what I thought. And now, have they submitted a liquor license for their,
Nothing has come.
okay,
I asked that also, an update on that, and,
so it's just everything.
everything.
And do we determine that they even need a liquor license for their setups?
They do.
Do we really?
So we just
Want
need
it.
a request from them stating, you know.
I mean, we require everyone else that has to get a liquor license. Why would they be an exception?
Well, those are bars, like the Lions.
Well, there are certain stipulations with theirs that, like if they have the liquor in there, but people bringing their own cups, I can't remember what it was, or they.
I mean,
They were setups.
yeah.
Setup license is what they have.
They have a setup license.
They do, or I thought it was determined that they don't have one.
They do with the state, but just like Second Street, the city needs to give them the permit to allow it to happen within city limits. And we just need a request that states that they do have this.
They're essentially bypassing the city and going straight to the state.
Yeah,
Whereas like this form right here, the
Yeah.
alcohol,
Yeah.
I mean,
See, and I always thought
the state would.
the state kicked it back, cause see, I thought it was
I don't
the,
understand how.
cause I thought at the meeting when we had with them, I thought we discussed, and I thought it was the gambling permit that went directly to the state.
That one does,
It does.
but the setup.
I thought it was determined that they didn't have a setup one.
No, he sent me,
He
he
did.
sent it, he sent it to me, it's like
Okay.
$250-ish.
Okay.
Well, I would say send them another email or whatever it is, this time, CC the mayor on it and give them an end date. Say, I
Yeah,
want
say
this
that,
done
yeah.
by this date.
Right.
I mean, cause what's gonna happen? We take our building back? I don't know what the right answer is, but they're.
No, I just don't want it 3 months from now, it's gonna be another problem.
I agree, yeah.
It's simple enough if they just do their paperwork.
Yeah, they did, they agreed to the changes in the amendment that Bob proposed, so that, I don't know what the delay is.
So I think we should just contact the president of the Lions and say, we need this stuff taken care of, so we don't have to worry about it.
But I don't think this is just about the lease, it's about the 10% donations to the city, right?
Most likely it is.
So it's not, that's not,
Because
so
they
the
were
lease is,
questioning.
the lease is not the only issue, right?
But that's all stated in the
But
lease.
it's on the lease.
Oh, I
That's
see,
all
I
stated
see,
within the
I
lease.
see, you're right,
They're on the lease.
So,
Just needs to be signed and taken care of.
right.
and that's one thing is I was approached by one of the Lions members, Tom Pash, about the 10%, and I stated to him, I understand that you guys do donate more than 10%, but the question was, why did the city choose 10%? And to that answer, I told him, I don't know. That was created way before
That's
me.
a state law.
I understand that. That's a state law, and that's what's
Well, see,
maximum for what a city can require. Now, why the city of Goodhue decided to request that much, I have no idea, and I can't attest to that, because that was before me.
It all
I think it's
came about
It's
because
up
they
to-
wanted us to hold money for them.
right.
But we couldn't do it unless they were giving at least 10% of what they gave away,
Mhm.
so we could legally hold it,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So-
Well,
because they have to give us 10% that is not earmarked for anything. It's up to our discretion to
correct.
spend.
It's a
The earmarked
net
portion,
funds
yes, and the earmarked portion
is for the maintenance.
is for the maintenance,
And that
and
is,
that does not account towards the 10% that is given to us.
correct, and that is still there.
Mhm.
You know,
So
they-
if we did want to do 10%, we'd have to pass an ordinance saying it was 8 or
Correct.
7.
Yeah, that.
I don't think we can, that's a state law.
No,
10%.
no, up to 10%.
Up to 10%.
But
So in reality, the city can ask for 0.
the
Yeah,
liquor
the city can ask for
The liquor ordinance states 10, that was
Mhm.
passed in 1974.
Yeah, before my time.
However old that one was.
Yeah, I mean, we could ask for 0. I mean,
Yeah, but
you can't ask for more than 10.
I don't think we wanna go less than 10, I think we need to take what we can get.
I mean, on the same note as that though, is they do give a lot. And I
They
think
do,
that's-
usually that 10% has nothing to do with,
Right.
And that was the thing that Tom had brought up to me is that, yes, he goes, we donate over 10%, but it has to be stated in our ordinance, our lease agreement, that it has to be transparent to the city that they donate over, or at minimum, the 10%.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think they're not happy with the 10 or?
no, I think they're good with
Okay.
it.
That's good.
I think it's the just definition of net profits. Because they had indicated that their accountant told them, well, at the end of the year, we ended up with $984 or something like that. So they're thinking they're giving way more. But that's not the definition in the statute of what net profits is. It's the profits after they sell, pay the prices, pay the fees and taxes that they have to do it. And on that form that they submit to the state, it had a very different number. than the $984 that they said was their net profits. It's not net profits after they make all of their donations at the end of the year. It's the net profits they end up with after they pay the state fees and the state taxes on that. And it was $350,000, not
That is
$984.
huge.
I think that's what they're thinking about. But that's just my feeling. I don't know that future.
Well, again, until we meet with them or set a deadline in the sand, we're just gonna continue to have the same conversation, so I don't know.
Yeah, let's just get that letter sent again and
And so you guys really, we need to talk
Put
to
me
you
on
by
it and then-
June 30th or, I don't know what.
Yeah, give them a deadline.
Agreed.
and you said maybe also send it to the president?
Well, he's the guy that's supposed to take care
Yeah,
of
I think that's
everything.
who it's gonna go to is whoever the president, do you know who it is?
Mike Hinch,
I've only been dealing with.
Mike.
Yeah.
don't ask me for any contact information because I don't have that.
Yeah.
I just know who the guy is.
Yeah,
Joe might give it to me.
Probably. But make sure that all of that stuff is being
They're,
documented.
Joe.
That This is, I
Joe.
can contact
He does the
all this
books.
thing, you know.
It is.
All right. Anything else?
I got something as a council person.
Okay.
Did we not have the sheriff department go up and talk to our little guy that's 8-year-old that's running up and down the street with the
I'm not
motorcycle?
positive if they visually have seen it, because we've gotten complaints.
Yeah, he was all hot rodding again the other day.
Yeah, we
During
called them.
nap time.
Did you call
Did I call
the sheriff? Did you call?
who? No, I don't have the sheriff's number.
We did.
Oh, you guys did call?
One of the times,
Okay.
besides the other complaints, we called because he.
I don't think he understands the seriousness.
Weekend right at nap time.
Yeah, and it's during the day.
I don't believe he understands, his dad understands the seriousness of this whole thing. An 8-year-old riding a dirt bike on the street, if he gets put in a position where he has to make an important decision, he's not capable of that.
Right.
And he needs to be told that he cannot do that.
Well,
So
I'm
I
pretty
think-
pretty sure there's an ordinance in there where you're not allowed to ride a dirt bike on the street.
I don't know for sure, but I think we need to send the sheriff up there and tell him he
I was just gonna
can't
say
do it.
that. Why don't you send the sheriff up there to scare him to death?
I mean,
What happened when we called?
his
they were
dad doesn't
asking
seem
us
to
questions.
take anything
Do you
too
guys know
serious.
the house?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but if they can't, if they don't see it happening, they can't knock on the door. I don't know
I
if
will
they can,
provide
can they?
video footage.
Can they?
I think
do
if
that?
somebody
I
took
don't know.
a, if somebody tried to take a video,
Yes, I
Well,
mean,
hey, like, it's a nuisance.
They have to see it.
you know
I mean-
what? You can't take a video?
They have to see it.
I just am afraid of a little 8-year-old making the right decision in a crucial moment. He gets hurt, and then all of a sudden we have all these lawsuits about this and that, when it could have been prevented when you say, you, an 8-year-old, cannot ride a dirt bike on the street, period.
And so this is where, I'm gonna sound like Bob here for a minute. Are we turning this from a civil matter and trying to push it into a city matter?
No, it's not I mean, we're just working.
It's a matter for protecting all the citizens of
I
Goodyear.
agree. But I don't understand
I do
why a
understand that
video, why you
100%.
couldn't do it.
And we do have an ordinance about that. If someone doesn't follow the ordinance, that A is their own discretion to do, and they have to be okay with the consequences. We can't force anyone to do anything. We can do our best.
Well, I think they should have the sheriff department just stop up there and say, this young man cannot be riding the street.
So obviously, we've had a complaint, okay? So I think the next step would to be find out where it is in the ordinance, the city ordinances, that would fall under. And then we, just like everybody else, it's a ordinance violation, they should receive a letter in the mail stating such, just like everybody else did, because
And that's-
there is no difference here, it's a public nuisance.
And I guess that's what I was trying to bring up is
Yeah.
doing it the proper channels.
Correct.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
if we
different.
wanna do it the proper
You know,
channel,
me
it
driving
needs
my
to
side
get
by side up
across.
and down the street taking care of business versus,
Are
This
those
little-
licensed,
no,
but dirt bikes?
no, and they don't have to be.
Okay.
Well,
Depends how many CCs it is.
depends on how many CCs, but it's a 50 CC CR or CR50 and it's not licensed.
So does anybody know? What is it?
The dirt bike,
Yeah.
it's a Honda CR50.
And I just have one other comment.
With
Maybe-
a
Sorry.
strip down exhaust.
Maybe this is on the same thing that we're talking about ordinances. Maybe, I guess what I heard tonight is, so somebody complains and we just send out a letter, we don't try to contact them and say, hey, you received a complaint.
Well, there's a visual and pictures and.
Is there a committee for complaints where, I guess my thought is we could have a complaint that, some of these complaints, as we found out tonight,
That
are
seems personal.
either personal or misconstrued,
Yeah,
as we found out tonight as well.
I agree.
And so is there a way that we could have, or is there already, there's not a committee if I remember correct. But maybe we should look at creating a committee of 1 or 2 members, as well as a city staff member, to look at the complaint, see what is the complaint in reference to, what ordinance it then would violate, and see if it fits to be an accurate complaint before the letter gets sent out.
I agree, I
I
also
just-
didn't like to hear that they knocked at our door, it's 7:15 in the morning. I mean, as a parent, to have a state police officer knock on your door, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
So
7:40 in the morning.
That was very upsetting to me.
Which that has nothing to do with the city part. That is,
No, it doesn't,
you know,
it doesn't,
And
but
it just may be when that deputy's in town.
I get it.
During that time, but.
I don't know, it just struck me in my head that, and then another thing is, do we know who makes these complaints? Is that, how do
I do, and it's confidential. It's a state statute. That
Yeah.
complaints are kept confidential.
well, confidential and anonymous are two, right? You mean confidential, you can't tell city council confidential,
I
or?
don't tell anybody
Okay.
because twice I've had somebody coming in here stating, I want to know who did the complaint. Now that cannot end well, no
Yeah.
matter.
No,
Correct.
Yeah, that's
No, I'm
bad
just
news.
talking about if we had an ordinance committee then, because sometimes you wonder, is it the same person over and over and over again?
It is now.
Well, and I understand where you can't release that information to people within the city, but for people that are enforcing those ordinances, I would almost think that city council, mayors and stuff like that is exempt from that. And that's what I would like to figure out, because I would really like to know where these complaints are coming from, because it's like,
Would it matter? Would it change anything?
I think sometimes it
well,
can.
no, but I think
it can.
I think we, I mean,
That's my only thing. I don't, it becomes a tit for tat nonstop.
Who you're gonna send a
then-
letter to, who you're not gonna send a
Yes.
letter to.
well, and then it becomes
and I
public
think
records.
I think Heather made a valid point on that,
So-
is who gets a letter and who doesn't get a letter. I mean,
We can't do this based on who someone is. We have to
Exactly.
do it across the board. I
exactly.
agree.
So it's,
I mean, my only things about.
is somebody afraid to complain on another person because of who they are? I don't know. I mean, if it were up to me, I would be writing complaints on everybody that was in violation. But,
And that certainly can be done.
Right.
I mean, we have sent out almost 30 of them.
See, I think it's a small city, like, I feel, and this is just a personal, like, there are more ordinance violations here than there were in the city of Pittsburgh. I just don't, like, I can't get a handle on,
Because in looking at the past, and I'm only going by what I see and what I can find in this building, past ordinance violations were not either done,
Well,
or
that could be it.
they were not enforced, or
Could be it.
it was based on who you were. And a decision was based on who you were, and they decided not to do anything about it. So now, the whatabouts are
Okay, but
coming in.
if the process was the same, then how could it be based on who you were when the letters are already sent out?
Because they didn't
It
send
wasn't-
letters out.
It was not
Oh, I
this
see
way.
what you're saying.
It
I
was
see
not
what you're
this
saying.
way
Okay.
at all.
And I also know for a fact in the past, there was no complaints. People were just going and violating.
But do you understand the misconception that, and I forget her name, that came and spoke, she was totally like thinking that we drove around and did it,
Or what do you think?
that,
Exactly.
you know, that this wasn't a private citizen. So I guess, to Chris's point, I guess how do you ensure it isn't, you know, one person causing all kind of trouble? You know, these complaints come from multiple different people? Are they the same person? Is it like, I don't know how you ever make that.
Well, that's easy.
But I guess
She sees
I made
the
it,
name.
And I
Okay.
see the name, I investigated, I believe that's what is part of my job description, is
Okay.
to deal with complaints.
Right.
And I can go get the job description and show it to you.
Uh,
So it's me, it's on me, it's part of my job to enforce it. And me not being a citizen here, I'm not related to anybody,
Right.
I'm looking at it from
But it is an
my
action,
eyes
okay,
of
so,
us.
okay. that makes
So here's a
sense.
good
That makes
example.
sense.
This,
That makes sense.
so there's your statement. So here's a question. If you would happen to start seeing a pattern of a same individual,
Yes.
how do you handle that? Do you have, is there protocol for
It
you?
hasn't happened yet,
Right.
but
Oh,
it is
there's the
something
answer
that
to my question.
I
Okay.
would speak to them, because there are
Okay.
times that I directly speak to people, they don't get a letter.
Okay, I just,
The dog one, I didn't really know how to handle, the dog poop one, so I just went and spoke to them. Sometimes I call them on the phone, sometimes, you know, it depends on, but no, they're not all, there's people who do complaints and nothing is done with them because I tell them, that is not anything that is actionable. There are more, they're not all sent letters.
Well, a lot
okay,
of
so what
people,
determines, okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. The second one that we talked about, so they never should have gotten a letter, right? I think we determined that. So do you call everybody, or like what, I guess that's where I'm struggling, so.
You're asking basically, does the city have a procedure that you
Yeah,
follow?
yeah, so you say you don't call
I do.
everybody.
I didn't call, the only one, exception was the dog poop one, because I
Okay.
really did not know. It was a concern about her water,
Okay,
because of where the dog poop was, and I thought,
okay,
I'm not gonna send a letter, because it's really not a violation.
okay, I see.
It wasn't a violation of an ordinance, it was just a complaint that somebody had about water being tainted by the amount of dog feces above a gutter. So I found out who, and I just called them up and said, hey, we've gotten some complaints. Because it wasn't an ordinance violation, it was a courtesy call
That's
asking to do something, just like the pool people, we did a courtesy reminder, so you do it one way with a courtesy reminder, and it ends up poorly. You send letters, and it ends up poorly sometimes. Both ways, it can happen.
it's hard to get around that. I mean,
don't know. I think
people,
we're gonna be a community setting, we should call
there's
those.
a lot of people that complain about anything, but it's hard to get around if somebody gets called on. They think right away, the first thing they think is, oh, they're picking on me. You know, but,
I guess that's
you know,
true.
maybe not, maybe you should check around a little bit.
I don't know what the answer is.
So
Like the driving a golf cart. The other day I seen 5 kids driving a golf cart. I don't think there was one on that cart that was over 10 years old.
Yep, they drove by my house too as I was signing my shit.
They're all yelling and screaming and hollering. I'm thinking like, what the hell don't you people understand? You know, I mean, there's consequences to deal with
They're
when
gonna
you're,
understand when one of them falls off and
exactly.
Now we made the change, you made
Yep.
the change.
Yep.
So there is an age on And I will be putting it out as an alert, it'll be in the newsletter, it will be on the website. It'll be posted in all the places, the change.
And that's the thing I worry about, like kids under 16, you know, they get on there, they're having a grand time to get to drive. My God, they never drove before. They don't know anything about the rules of how you're supposed to drive.
And
They drive wherever they want, yell and scream and holler, have a great time. That's good until somebody gets hurt.
and school ends this week, so I imagine that will increase.
Intake, yeah, uptick.
Well, I think we do need to change the ordinance letter. I think we just keep happening and see how many people keep showing up.
Really wording on it. Anybody else got anything on that portion? 'Cause if not, I
I
got-
would say, send out the ordinance, just call them, maybe. If you get a complaint, call them and talk to them. And if they don't do anything about it, then send out an ordinance.
Yeah, maybe put a little line underneath, you know, first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, you know, if you call and nobody's there, say, hey, first attempt was here, left a message, you know, whatever. I mean, we gotta,
And that's where documentation just comes in crucially.
All right, so anything else for council comments?
did you have something?
I did. So we had another meeting with the fire department on our board to go forth and really to move forward as a department. We really need to see a motion from the city here stating that we do or do not want to become a district partner as a equal percentage partner. We are doing our partnership based off of 50% population, 50% land value. That's what we came, the five of us came to agree upon to be the most fair and most fairest way to do it. I mean, that's really what it came down to be, so.
I think we already
That's good.
had a resolution wanting to be part of it, didn't we?
We
Didn't
had-
we sign that whole thing where we were the only one that wasn't a member? So then we
I don't think we had
decided to be a member.
I thought we kind of cumulatively agreed, but there was never technically a motion, I
Well,
thought.
visually, members seeing the signatures, because we signed it, all the other people were on it, and we signed it.
But I thought you were gonna change the chart,
I thought
remember?
that'd be
You had a chart that was in there, the
So
percentages.
the chart, there were three charts, and I discussed at that one that because we had talked about 4 different ways to do it. And really the most viable option for us to do it was to be 50% population, 50% land value. It would roughly at $150,000 levy, it would put Goodhue paying roughly $36,000, I thought it was. Obviously with Goodhue joining in and not paying the maintenance fees and some different things, we are probably gonna have to raise the levy next year, but just to absorb the costs within the fire department. But I think overall it'll be the most fair way to do it.
I'm gonna look, I thought we did that, I really did. Because when they were gonna redo it and say that it was gonna go up, because we weren't really part of the partnership or member, that we signed the thing to become it, but that, I will look into that. But if you wanna do a motion to do it just in case, I think we might have done it.
I think we should look into it for sure.
Yeah, figure out what it is exactly, and then, I mean, if anything, we can always do it on the work meeting,
Yeah. Make sure
just
it's
to
not.
make sure, so we're not double okaying something, I think, I don't know.
I'll check, but something is documenting that it was,
Okay.
because it was found that we weren't, and that we couldn't do this change. The only thing that I wanted to make sure that, verify, because I'm doing budgets for 2026, is that this is indeed
Yep.
Like fireman pay, workers' comp,
Mhm.
and training.
Mhm.
So I can pull those out of those respective line items and increase the fire department.
Mhm.
Okay.
The only thing I have is, after the last meeting, I was going home and I spoke to, Mr. Kennedy and let him know about the Volksfest and the underage consumption
Oh, you did?
and the, underage serving and all of that, and he said that, he is very well aware of that, and he will try his hardest to, police that type of stuff. However, with him being the president, it's hard for him solely to do that. And I said, well, that's, we kind of come to what we thought we would like to see happen, and that was by not having anybody that would be under the age of 18 having anything to do with alcohol. Beer tent, liquor tent, whatever, and he said, well, they would typically work in the center bubble where they give out the drink tickets. Well, that's fine and dandy, but then it's easy for them to just go and have a drink tickets. So he said, usually part of the cleanup and working the tickets outside, and I said, I'm gonna leave it up to you to figure this out. I said, but in years past, I personally have noticed people under the age of 18 serving and consuming alcohol, and I said, I will not tolerate it anymore. And, you could risk not getting your liquor license in the future for said type of behavior. He said, he understands, he will take it to the next meeting, and he will let them know that it will not be tolerated.
Well, they should understand, I mean, that's their moneymaker for the year, I mean, they gotta take it serious, you just can't do what you feel like doing. You have
And I
to take it.
contacted Matt Jacobs, who's our contact at the county sheriff's department, and he was gonna also put it on their own.
Yep.
I don't know if they have a packet, whatever they do for Volksfest.
And I guess teeing off yours there, Chris, is like, I also talked to Traven about it, and spoke with him, and he had stated very similar things to me, as well as he also added that in recent years, and I don't remember how recent, but I know it was in the last just couple of years, they did make it, so technically to be a member of the JCs by its overwhelming organization, you had to be 16 or older. Goodhue has taken a step farther and required you to be graduated from high school now to be a part of it, to try to eliminate under 18-year-olds from being involved, so that at least it's legal for them to handle liquor. Now, that doesn't deter the underage drinking, but it makes it so that a 16-year-old isn't at least pouring
Yeah, I mean,
liquor.
16-year-old has no responsibility as far as handling liquor. That's just the way it is.
Well, and I know that if that was the route that they were going, I know that that was not in effect last year.
Okay.
So, and I specifically spoke to the individual you mentioned and expressed that. So anyway, that's all I got. Let's see how it goes, this year.
Okay, good with council comments? All right, so mayor comments. I have two quick ones. One concerning thing is, the speaker we had tonight, one of the things in her letter is talking about us not communicating these, matters with other residents. I think we all know better than that anyways, but I just think it's something that it's okay for us to refresh our minds with, of keeping these matters amongst us, and it's unfortunate she feels this way, because I don't see that or hear that happening with anybody here, so just wanted to say that. And then the other thing is, just FYI, two of the pools that we had some issues with are gone now. We won't be having to deal with fencing and things like that, so.
Yeah, there was quite kerfuffle on the face.
I know.
And I was tagged in it, Michael was tagged in it, and I don't know if you guys saw any of that, but my response to the individual was, I responded with, this is the ordinance involving pools and hot tubs, and gave the website and also a screenshot of the pool and hot tub ordinance for that. So, you know, there's a lot of people that, I'm overstepping here, but not a lot of people know all the information.
You know, that's the general cause of a lot of confusion. It's people that get these ideas that this is okay and that's okay, but they've never even looked at the ordinance.
And that's all that we did was drop off a copy of the ordinance. We knocked on the door, we waited, they didn't answer, we left it in the door. It was a courtesy reminder
Exactly.
to do that, and it went.
Well, and exactly right. I mean, we had 2 people showed up today that wanted to ask questions and inquiry about it, and, you know, I mean, I've been here for 2.5 years, and I think I've had half a dozen people show up, ask questions about it, and not a single person has ever showed up that I can remember that, regardless of pools.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, read the ordinance.
Well, and I appreciate, because, you know, we don't want to get baited into, so I appreciate that handling that way of keeping it simple and respectful. Because, you know, we want, as frustrating as it may be, we still want to continue to be respectful, and which you guys all seem to be, which I appreciate. So that's all I have. Anything else? Okay, motion to pay the bills.
I didn't see anything.
The one thing I just want to add is the bills, Animal Plank is going to be doing the certification of the lifeguards that are coming back. We don't know what the cost is going to be, so we just need to include in claim approval an unknown amount under 2,000, because there's 15 of them getting recertified. We need to have in the motion that that's going to get it paid to Lori, like that, what she does at training. So it's not in there because we don't know what the amount is.
Well, yeah, and that would come on the next.
But if it would, she gets it on the day, I told, but she gets it on the day that she does the certification.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I looked at the bills and I have no questions, so I guess I'll make a motion to approve the bills as well as this, what'd you call it?
Recertification.
Recertification.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to pay the bills passed. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Sign our papers.
July, August, because it's due September.
Many nips, I guess.
The first preliminary.
So it should be early July?
I'm working on it now, and it'll be at first.